Good morning. I'd like to call this Texas Lottery Commission meeting to order. It is 10:06. We have all commissioners present. Commissioner Steen gets the punctuality award, and we are glad that we have a full house. So thank you all for being here, and we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Okay. So we are clearly in a new building, and I appreciate everyone being here. And I understand that our next meeting will be here on December the 12th. And into the new year, I guess we'll figure out where we'll be meeting, but I'm confident that we will be meeting somewhere. So your flexibility and ability to adapt is all appreciated. Okay, first item is a report. No, I am so sorry. I'm going to have Gary introduce some very special individuals here. And Gary, you got the ball.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioners, I'm very pleased to have some guests with us this morning from IGT. IGT, as you know, has been our lottery operator here in Texas since 1992, the lottery's inception. And joining us today are Vincent Sadusky, the CEO of IGT, and Fabio Caroli, the Chief Executive Officer for Global Lottery at IGT. And Mr. Sadusky and Mr. Caroli would like to address the commission this morning.
Please.
All right. Well, good morning.
Welcome. Good morning.
Chairman, commissioners, thank you so much for having us. We'd just like to say that the partnership that we've enjoyed since the inception of the lottery is something that we don't take lightly. We focus a lot of attention and resources on the great state of Texas lottery. I want to congratulate all of you for the amazing success and on this 30th anniversary in becoming one of the top lotteries in the country and one of the larger lotteries in the world. Really terrific partnership. We've enjoyed it. We continue to work hard to innovate, being the largest lottery provider in the world, and Texas is absolutely one of our most important customers. So I just want to thank you for that. Also, just personally, I've got some great ties to the great state of Texas and Austin in particular. So first off, I'll start with my son. So the only two colleges he applied to years ago was University of Texas and my alma mater, Penn State. And I think my brainwashing for Penn State was a little greater than UT. He got accepted to both schools and ended up going to Penn State. But as soon as he graduated, he moved to Austin, and he lives here to this day, working for Price Waterhouse right down the street. And my dad lives here over on Lake Travis. And my former business, we owned a bunch of television stations across the country. And one of our great success stories, growth stories, was KXAM, the NBC affiliate here. So for those of you who've been in the market for a long time, I'm sure would know my friend Jim Spencer, longstanding weatherman, Eric Glassberg, the GM there. And also, as I recruited my board for my public company, one of my greatest longstanding board members was Dr. Bill Cunningham, former president of UT and chancellor. And we still keep in touch and get together from time to time to this day. So love coming back to Austin and really appreciate the time and having you all see us here today.
Wonderful. Well, we're grateful for your Texas roots and just your ongoing commitment to our state and the lottery. Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Mr. Commissioner. I will be echoing lots of these words and remarks this morning. First thing, let me reiterate that as we acknowledge the TFC being really a leading lottery, not only one of the biggest lotteries in the world, but a leading lottery because of the innovation capabilities, because of the forward-looking attitude, because of the solid also responsibility awareness. This has brought TLC to be really one of the most important, leading and inspirational lottery for the rest of the industry. Also, need to congratulate once again for the continued success. It's been just impressive with ourselves noticing each and every year beating record high sales and doing it again responsibly. So it's been just an amazing observation. We like defining ourselves partners, not just the suppliers or vendors in the industry, but this is the real place where we do believe we have established solid partnership. And this happened because of the two things. We do respect and admire the lottery team here, and we are offering the best possible people to support and perform each and every day the lottery needs. And with partnership is coming mutual success and mutual satisfaction. And it's also an honor not only being here, but having had for such a long time the opportunity of serving the Texas state. That goes beyond just doing business and doing successful business. It's also adding a different perspective here. Let me also share that we've been told, Ryan, there are personal issues that we've been informed. We are very sorry, and we want to offer that we share we are thinking about it. We are as close as possible. Personally, I joined IGT 10 years ago. I'm Italian. I live in Rome. I joined IGT this Saturday is 10 years. I joined it in Italy. Probably you are familiar with our former company name in Italy, Automatica. I joined, and in few months I became responsible for all our Italian operations. Until 3 years ago, we were organized at IG level in regions. And Italy, because of the size of the business in general, was considered to be just a standalone region. I had responsibility, of course, on running lottery, all our lottery operation. Italy, as you know, is probably the biggest lottery in the world, with 20 billion in sales each and every year. So I got to know lottery, and I also was responsible for all the other gaming activities that we sold a couple of years ago. And then 2 years ago, I had the privilege and the honor of becoming the leader of our global lottery business operation. Before joining IGT, I have been mainly a consumer goods person, growing up in marketing and spending about 10 years in a US multinational company. At the time was named Profit.
Okay. Commissioners, do you have any questions or comments for Fabio or Vincent? Fabio, we are, I'm sorry. No, thank you. Fabio, we're incredibly grateful for your friendship, your partnership, and we know that it takes a great commitment for you to literally, come and spend time here in the U.S., come to Texas, and we're grateful to host you. We're grateful for the partnership. Vincent, as well, you and your organization mean an incredible amount to our lottery, to the state in terms of the partnership and the achievements that we're only able to make because of each other. So you have an open door, both of you, to anything that you need from us in order to perform, our roles better. So if there's things that you feel that we can be doing better, improved lines of communication, just you let us know as you see best practices, not only nationally, but globally. And the experience and the bandwidth that you bring to our organization is something that we're grateful for, because you're able to be in rooms and see things that we're just not able to, as our focus, rightly so, should be on our efforts here in the state. So with that, you have an open door to anything that we have here, and that's not just for today, but into the future. So we're grateful for y'all both being here.
Thank you, Mr. Commissioner.
Thank you.
Thank you. Barry, anything else you'd like to?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, our first item is a report from the Bingo Advisory Committee. Trace, this is your item.
Commissioners and staff, thank you for hosting us again today. Yesterday we had the October Bingo Advisory Committee meeting. We had two items that we discussed. The update from Ken Kipling on rulemaking process about a new bingo product, which we'll have a rulemaking process that we're going through all of that right now. And then the advertising presentation from Tom Stewart, who is with Texas Charity Advocates. Texas Charity Advocates has presented in the bingo industry in Texas a way to effectively and affordably advertise for our bingo laws in Texas with much success. That concludes my report. If there's any questions?
Okay, commissioners, Cindy?
No questions.
Wow, good job. Okay, Trace, thank you for being here. Okay. All righty. Next three items are contracts. Angela, these are your items.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. For the record, my name is Angela Skyby Sagarba, the Administration Division Director. Item number 3 in your notebook is a briefing item. Texas Administrative Code 401.105 requires the Executive Director to provide the status of all contracts to the Commission annually for information purposes, and further requires that for each contract with a value exceeding $1 million, additional information, including contract compliance, corrective action plans, and sanctions be reported. The report in your notebook has been provided for informational purposes. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Okay, any questions? Okay.
All right.
Item.
Item number 4, again, is a briefing item to advise the Commission of staff's intent to extend our current trademark and license and promotional agreement with Houston NFL Holdings, Houston Texans. The extension will cover a period from July 2023 through June of 2025. Commissioners have independently confirmed they have no financial interest in the Houston NFL Holdings. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
Okay, commissioners. Okay, next item.
Item number 5 in your notebook is 2 briefing items to advise the Commission of staff's intent to amend our 3 2012 scratch ticket printing contracts, also known as the instant ticket printing contracts, Scientific Games, IGT Global Solutions, and Pollard Banknote. The purpose of these amendments is to modify the respective price sheets and to include additional add-on features, product quantities, and ticket sizes, and also add travel reimbursement language for site visits. Be happy to answer any questions on that one.
Okay, commissioners, any questions? Okay, none.
All right, lastly, it's also a briefing item, and that is to amend the drawing studio and production contract with Elephant Productions to modify the services provided at our backup production facility. Commissioners have also independently confirmed they do not have any financial interest in any of the instant ticket printing vendors or Elephant Productions. Any questions? I'd be happy to answer them.
You're good. Thank you so much, Angela. Okay. Next is a report on lottery sales and revenue. Kelly and Robert, this is your item.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm Kelly Stuckey, Controller for the agency, and with me this morning is Robert Trelawney, our agency's Lottery Operations Director. And we're excited to provide you an update of our final revenue and sales results for fiscal year 22. So before we get started, due to the awkward placement of the screens, we did provide you a printout of the sales if you'd like to follow along.
Thank you. Yep.
Slide. we'll begin with a few revenue highlights. The commission completed the fiscal year with $1,998,000,000 in accrued revenue transfers to the state. This is our highest revenue transfers to our beneficiaries, the Texas Lottery. So of that overall transfer amount, $1.972 billion went to the Foundation School Fund, and then additionally, another $26 million went directly to the Texas Veterans Commission from the sale of our scratch-off games dedicated to the Veterans Assistance Fund. This is our largest transfer to the Veterans Fund since these designated scratch-off games began back in 2010. The revenue transfers for FY22 exceeded last fiscal year by $2.6 million. So overall, thanks to the hard work of our Texas Lottery team, our vendor partners, and retailers, our cumulative revenue transfers to these important beneficiaries are now more than $35.6 billion. These revenue records were made possible by us generating just under $8.3 billion in lottery sales, making this our 12th consecutive record-breaking year in lottery sales. This new sales record exceeded last year's record by $189.7 million. Another record was our prizes paid to players. With more than 5.7 billion prizes won by our players, this broke the previous record set in FY21 by more than $170 million. Our retailers, they were paid more than $415 million in commission payments, so also another record in our history of retailer payments. And then also I wanted to note that we concluded the fiscal year with an administrative expenditure rate of 3.47%. So this is one of the lowest administrative rates in the country when we look at comparing to other lotteries. And then also wanted to note that it's well below our statutory allowed 7%. And then moving on to detailed sales data. This is a slide you're used to seeing. I mentioned earlier, final sales for fiscal year 22 were $8.3 billion and surpassed our previous sales record set just last year by $189.7 million, or 2.3% over fiscal year 21. But to expand on these a little further, we ended the year with $6.73 billion in scratch ticket sales, and that's noted on that second orange bar to the right. This is also a new sales record, making it our best scratch ticket sales since we began selling these tickets. This reflects a sales increase of more than $110 million, or 1.7% above the $6.62 billion set last year. And then looking at draw sales, we concluded the year with $1.57 billion, and that's noted on the blue bar. And this is also a new draw sales record with an increase of $79.4 million over last year's draw sales. And there's numerous highlights that we can tout on draw and scratch sales that Robert will expand on a little further. But then moving to the next slide, this slide provides an overview of our 31-year history of scratch and draw game sales. And consistent with the prior slide, the orange notes scratch sales and the blue are draw sales. And so if we look back to 1992 when we started, we had $591,000 of scratch tickets sold in that first year of operations. And then looking at now, 2022 with $8.3 billion. So one of the takeaways I like to share on this screen is just looking at a 5-year period. So we've grown from $5.1 billion from 2017 to our current $8.3 billion. And that's a $3.2 billion growth, or 63.4%. I don't think there's a lot of industries that can tout those kind of increases over these past 5 years. And so now I'll turn it over to Robert, who will get into the details of these record-breaking sales.
Thank you, Kelly. Good morning, commissioners. We're happy to be here to share these results with you today.
I really like this slide because I think it takes the 8.3 billion and it really illustrates where, sorry, we have to do a quick screen change here. It really illustrates where the sales are coming from. So we had some really good help at the end of our fiscal year. We had the $1.28 billion Mega Millions jackpot. That was the second largest Mega Millions jackpot in the game's history. And that really brought a lot of people into the stores to not only buy Mega Millions, but it really also helped us with Scratch right at the end of our fiscal year. So that was really great timing for us. But we can start, since I just referenced Mega Millions, we can start up at the top of the slide in the white font. Those are the jackpot games. You can see the jackpot games are up just under $86 million. Mega Millions sold about $332 million. And it did, because of that jackpot, it did experience growth year over year. Interestingly enough, even though Mega Millions reached that record-setting jackpot at the end of the year, Powerball outsold it. Powerball did not have $1 billion jackpot, but it was very steady and consistent through the year. It had about 4, what I would consider, sizable jackpots. We had 2 in the $600 million range, 1 in the $400 million range, and 1 in the mid $300 million range. So that propelled Powerball to be the best-selling jackpot game. You can see it had some great growth. The base game was up almost 64 million, and the add-on feature was up almost 14 million. Lotto Texas was down a little bit, 4.8 million. We didn't get the jackpots that we had the previous year. One interesting note, Lotto Extra, almost $40 million. That is a year-over-year increase, and that add-on feature has seen year-over-year increases since it first started in 2013. So it's interesting, the base game is down, but we have a lot of people that like the add-on feature for that game. So we continue to watch that. Moving into the middle of the slide, we have to go back a little. Moving in the middle of the slide in blue, that's the daily games. As a whole, they're down 6.5 million. That's mainly because of Pick 3's decline of 11.5 million. Pick 3 has been on the decline and Daily 4 has been increasing. In fact, Daily 4 has seen a yearly increase every year since it was introduced in 2008. So we believe there's a little movement of dollars between those two games. Even though Pick 3 is down, it's 19% of draw game sales. It's a very important part of the draw game portfolio. And you'll see an example of that here in a few slides. So while we're down on the daily games, it is promising that Daily 4 continues to see increases, and All or Nothing is actually up as well. So we've got some good news there. So as a whole, draw games are up almost 80 million. And of course, we set a record with scratch ticket sales of 6.7 billion, and that's $110 million increase. This next slide we look at once a year at this time of the year. Not really a big change. This just represents the total sales broken out between the two different product categories. The split is about the same. It's 81 for scratch, 81% for scratch, 19% for draw. We're usually anywhere between that 80-20 to 82-18. So, there's no real change here from what we've experienced for many years. This pie chart is draw game sales. So this is representing the 1.57 billion in sales for the year. Now on this slide, I want to note we group the base game and the add-on feature together. So you can see up at the top of that pie in the dark blue, Powerball is the best-selling game. I mentioned that a couple moments ago, followed by Mega Millions, and then Pick 3 is the third best-selling game. Lotto Texas is fourth, and Daily 4 is fifth. Pick 3, Powerball, and Mega Millions are always vying for that top spot. And if we don't get really strong Mega Millions or Powerball jackpots, Pick 3 often is the number one selling draw game. And as I mentioned on this slide, you can see it is 19% of the draw sales. So it is important. It's not a jackpot game, so we don't have to wait for large jackpots for sales. So that's a good thing. I think what's interesting on this slide is daily 4. If we don't get lotto jackpots in the next couple of years and we continue to see the growth we've been experiencing with daily 4, I think we could potentially see daily 4 surpass Lotto Texas in annual sales. Same pie chart, but now we're talking about scratch. So this is the 6.7 billion in scratch sales broken down by price point. We did see a change on this year. The 10 is the #1 selling price point, and that's consistent with last year. The change is at the #2 slot. The 20 is now the second best selling price point. For many years, it was the 5. The 5 is the third best, and the fourth best is the 50. Just a couple of interesting comments here. I think there's the potential that this time next year, we could be seeing the 20 as the #1 selling price point based on the growth it's been experiencing. I also think there's potential that the 50 could surpass the 5. So these will be some interesting things that we can look at through the year and that we can really look at this time next year when the year is completed. One note you'll see on this pie chart, there is a new slice of the pie, and that's the $100 game. I'll be talking about that in a couple of slides. It did represent 3.1% or $211 million. This chart is just showing the different price points for scratch, and it's doing a year-over-year comparison. So the orange bar is last year, 21. The blue bar is this year, 22. The big takeaway on this slide, I know there's a lot of information on here, but the big takeaway is that higher price points continue to be the popular price points, and it's those price points that are driving our scratch sales. So I'll focus you to the right side of the chart. You know, the 100 is brand new, so there's no comparison over last year, but you can see the 211 million in sales from the 100. The 50 is up 64.5 million, or almost 6%. So great growth there. The 30 is practically even, and the 20 had extremely strong growth, almost 11%, or $143 million. So again, the higher price points continue to be very, very popular. Of course, we've talked a lot about that over the past year. That's what led us to introduce the $100 price point. The last slide, it's the top 15 scratch games for the year. Our best seller in 22 was a $20 game, and it was $20 Lotteria. Last year, the best seller was a $50 game, and it was $50 Lotteria. As I just noted, the higher price points continue to be popular, and there's a driver of the scratch sales. So in the top 15, you'll see we have 5 50s, 3 20s, 3 10s, and 2 30s. The Lotteria family, of course, is a really important part of the scratch portfolio. It's about 23.5%, almost 24% of sales, and Lotteria is right up at the top. It's listed at the number 1, 3, 4, 6, and 7 slots. So we have almost every. The $3 Lotteria is not included in the top 15, but all of the other price points are. The 5, the 10, the 20, and the 50 are all in the top 15 and right up at the top. The 100 is ranked number 5. I think the important thing to note about that is that game only started in May. So by the time the fiscal year ended, it was probably out for about 14 or 15 weeks. And it sold $211 million. So surely if that had started much earlier in the fiscal year, that would have been ranked as our number 1 selling game for the year. That is our year-end recap. We're pleased with the results. We hope you are as well. We're already about 6 weeks into our new fiscal year, and when we get back together in December, we'll share information with you all about how we're tracking in fiscal 23. And we're happy to answer any questions if you all have any today.
Okay. Commissioners, any questions, comments?
And commissioners,
Yes.
I think Mr. Grieve also wanted to make some comments at the end of this agenda item, so.
Sure.
Please, Mr. Chairman, if you have any questions first, please feel free to address those with Robert.
We evidently have none. So good job on the presentation and
Well done, just another record.
Well, thank you. Great job, Robert and Kelly, as always. Mr. Chairman and Commissioner, sometimes I run out of adjectives to describe our Texas Lottery team. And when I talk about that, I'm talking about the dedication and the talent, and most importantly, the manner in which they execute our business plan. When I talk about the team, I'm not only referring to the great people at the Texas Lottery Commission, but I'm also referring to our partners at IGT, both IGT Texas and IGT Corporate. They support our mission in generating revenue for education and for veterans. And I'm also referring to those more than 20,000 retailer locations that are located all around our great state, who market our products day in and day out, and who are the face-to-face contacts with our millions of loyal players who love playing the Texas Lottery. I'm also referring to Third Year, our advertising agency, and to Pollard Banknote, Scientific Games, and IGT's printing arm, 3 companies who print our scratch ticket products. Those are our primary vendors, but there's a host of others that we don't have time for me to mention. All of these organizations do a great job in supporting our mission. And commissioners, I would be remiss not to recognize each one of you as a critical part of that Texas Lottery team. Your support for innovation and for focusing on the bottom line, that is the revenue that we generate for our good causes, that support has been unwavering. And that support is keenly appreciated by the Texas Lottery team and by me. For that, I thank you. No one expected or believed that it was possible for us to reach yet another record-breaking year in 2022, given the incredible results we had last year in 2021. But thanks to that Texas Lottery team that I just described, we've recognized significant growth once again for the 12th consecutive year. And if we can enjoy a successful legislative session coming up, I believe we still can have tremendous optimism for the future of the Texas Lottery. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, wow. Commissioners, open it up. Okay, so Gary, Kelly, Robert, and all of our employees and partners, on behalf of our commissioners, we're just overwhelmed by just amazing success. And Gary is right. You know, we had a couple of great, banner years, and Vegas. A lot of folks would have thought that these numbers would be difficult to achieve, but those are folks that are on the outside that aren't here and aren't part of our fabric and part of our employees and see the work that we're able to put forth. So on behalf of our commissioners, we're grateful for the just incredible work that all of you put towards these numbers, and it benefits the state, benefits education, our veterans. And so we're thankful and just very appreciative. So as always, if there's anything that y'all feel, Gary, Robert, Kelly, all of our employees, that any of our commissioners can do in addition to what we're already doing, sincerely, please let us know, and we'd be happy to see what we can do better. So thank you all very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, so next item is, so you will remain and look forward to.
Commissioners, for this item is a briefing item, and I've included in your notebook the accrued revenue transfers and allocations to the Foundation School Fund and the Veterans Commission, as well as the allocation for unclaimed prizes for fiscal year ending August 31st, 2022. As I mentioned earlier, that accrued revenue transfer to the state amount was $1.998 billion and is a record total transfer for us. So breaking that transfer down, we had $1.91 billion was transferred to the Foundation School Fund, $23.3 million transferred to the Texas Veterans Commission, And then the remaining balance of 62.6 million was transferred from unclaimed prizes. Also included in your notebooks are the agency's final fiscal year 22 method of finance summary. The commission's lottery account budget for fiscal year 22 was $320.5 million. And of this amount, 90% was expended or encumbered through the end of the year. And then the bingo administration budget funded by general revenue was $2.1 million with 80.5 expended or encumbered. Commissioners, this concludes my presentation and happy to answer any questions.
Okay, commissioners, any questions? Okay, thank you. Good job. Thank you very much. Okay, next item is our internal auditor report. Liz Myers is here on behalf of Darlene Brown.
Good morning, Chairman, Commissioners. For the record, my name is Liz Myers and I'm with Internal Audit. Your notebooks contain summaries of the materials I'll be discussing. First is the FY 2022 audit, an annual internal audit report. This report is required by the Texas Internal Audit Act, and the State Auditor's Office prescribes the report's content areas. The report summarizes the FY 2022 internal audit activities and the planned audit activities for FY 2023. The report is required to be submitted to the Governor's Office, the Legislative Budget Board, and the State Auditor's Office by November 1st. We recently issued 2 internal audit reports. The full audit reports and proposed internal audit plan were provided to you in earlier emails. First, the confidential data audit was rated best practices for protecting data. We noted that TLC had implemented numerous controls to provide reasonable assurance that all confidential data is protected, especially anonymous claims information. The second audit, Texas and Game Management, was rated best practices for scratch ticket gaming planning and closing procedures. And I want to note that Texas is frequently contacted by other state lotteries to share their practices and tips. This audit included discussion with the 3 scratch vendors, ticket vendors, about their planning processes and controls in place to ensure that Texas receives the scratch tickets as scheduled. We also obtained their SOC reports to determine if the respective vendor had any issues identified related to scratch ticket security. This is especially important given the supply chain and cyber issues that the world has faced these past few years. We are pleased to report that the vendors have all have sound processes in place and no security issues were noted in their SOC reports. I also included status of our audits in your materials. The final item I have for you is the proposed FY 2023 audit, annual internal audit plan. And we plan to complete 7 audits and provide consulting services to the charity bingo operations for a review of the licensing processes. The detailed internal audit plan was provided to you earlier by email. I am seeking approval of the proposed FY 2023 annual internal audit plan. And then if that is the end of my report, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the 2023 internal audit plan? Make a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay,
Thank you.
that's a good job. Thank you so much for being here and filling in. Okay, good job, Liz. Next item, bingo director's report. Donna, this is your item.
Good morning, Commissioners. For the record, I'm LaDonna Castanuela, Director, Charitable Bingo Operations Division. Information regarding output metrics for CBOD for August and September can be found in your notebook materials. Also included in the notebooks and in compliance with Section 2001.560C1 and C2 of the Bingo Enabling Act, you will find CBOD Audit Services Department's FY 2023 Annual Audit Plan and Risk Assessment. The statutory requirement is that the audit plan is provided to you, but it is not an action item. And speaking of CBOD's audit department, we have 2 of the division's regional audit coordinators with us here today. It's a rare treat to see our auditors in Austin, and it's been more than 3 years since they've been able to join us for a commission meeting. So sitting in just the third row right here is Natasha Turner-Blewett, Audit Coordinator for our Dallas office, who's been an auditor for CBOD for almost 5 years. And our newly named Lead Audit Coordinator, Nicole Domain, who also serves as our Audit Coordinator for Houston and Odessa offices. Since the last meeting, we've hired 2 new employees, our new Accounting Services Coordinator, Joe Hernandez, and my executive assistant, Marie Medina, who is sitting over there by the wall. Although they've both been here just a short period of time, they both are catching on very quickly, and we've already been seeing improvements in processing times in a number of areas. We're very close to bringing on a new licensing services coordinator and have 1 pending job posting for a new license and permit specialist. And of course, there will be more jobs posted soon after we finish these 2. We seem to be in a constant state of hiring. I want to thank Jan Thomas and her staff in Human Resources Division for all of their support and patience. And of course, the dedicated and talented staff of CBOD continue to meet all challenges presented by the many staff changes, including covering the extra work and stepping in to train our new staff. That's all I have for you today. I'm available to answer any questions. Thank you.
Okay, good job, LaDonna, and welcome all for being here. I know you've traveled not as far as Italy, but still grateful for all of y'all being here from across the state. So thank y'all. Cindy. You.
Don't have anything to add. Good job.
Okay, awesome. Don, thank you. Okay, next item, we are going to hear from our esteemed Executive Director, Gary.
Mr. Chairman, other than what's in your notebooks, I have nothing further to report this morning.
Commissioners, any thoughts, comments? Nothing? Gary, good job.
No, I would, if I
Go
could,
ahead, please.
Chairman, just again, congratulate you and your team on each year. It becomes, it's harder to achieve those levels because they're so good every year, and just extraordinary work. And you've laid out the why on that, and our team, and have a lot of them here. So thank you for that. It makes our job much easier.
Thank you, Mr. Commissioner.
Okay. Here. Awesome. Thank you so much. All righty. Next, we have Bob, and he will bring up some items for us to consider.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm Bob Beer, General Counsel. Item 11 in your notebooks contains 10 lottery cases, tabs A through J. In these cases, Commission staff found a licensee violated a lottery statute or rule, and in many cases, either the respondent fails to appear at the hearing and it proceeds by default, or the staff and the respondent reach a settlement in the form of an agreed order. And we have both of those types of cases today. Tabs A through H are the non-sufficient fund lottery retailer license revocation cases that are handled in a single order. Each case was presented at the State Office of Administrative Hearings for revocation of the retailer license because the licensee failed to have sufficient funds in the bank account to cover electronic fund transfers to the Commission's account. In each case, the licensee failed to appear, and the judge remanded the case to the Commission to handle as a default. Tab I is a lottery agreed order. This is a debit card case. A retailer charged $1 for using debit cards to purchase lottery tickets, 10-day suspension. Tab J is a litigated lottery case, which involved a retailer purchasing winning tickets from a customer, and they admitted to it, and typically that type of case would be settled with an agreed order, but they did not follow through, so we had to set the case for hearing. It went to hearing, and the retailer did not show up, so it was also sent back to the Commission, similar to the NSF cases, and there's a default order in your notebooks providing for a 90-day suspension. And that concludes my presentation. You may take these up in a single vote if you like, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, Commissioners, any questions? Is there a motion for all at once?
I make a motion.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay. And we have a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Good job, everyone. Good job, Bob.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Your conclusions?
I'm good. That's great. And I believe on the next item for public comment, I do not have any requests for public comment.
Okay, so before we end the meeting, again, just tremendous job across the board. And, you know, it's definitely all a team effort, but our executive director, Gary, does an incredible job of managing the day-to-day and definitely sets the tone and just, these numbers don't just happen, and they're built. And it's something that requires just daily effort, and but also going backwards every week, every month, every year, decade. And it's the foundation that, Gary's, worked on along with everyone here, but it does require that one individual to set the tone, and the buck stops with Gary, and just we're grateful for you. And I'm confident that all of us commissioners sleep a whole lot better knowing that you're there at the helm, and it gives us a lot of peace and confidence. So Gary, thank you for the work that you do as well. And we know that you had a huge role with these numbers. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. All right. Any other business? Okay. And with that, we are adjourned.